If you're a person like me who loves women and wants to have a wonderful life with a wonderful woman and respect her and never raise a hard hand against, I never raise my voice to my wife because I'm so enamored of her, you have to find that woman. You have to find a woman who doesn't need to be smacked around in order to behave in a civilized way. And that's the way you do it. You avoid the women who don't respect you. If a woman respects her husband, obviously her husband should treat her like the queen of the world. But if a woman hits her husband, he should never hit her back, but he will.
So if a woman doesn't respect her husband, is that a green light to beat her? Because that's how it kind of came across. I don't think that's what he meant. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. But
I'm not, no.
Okay, yeah. No, first of all, let me just clear this up. I don't buy into the argument that a woman can hit a man and that a man, men can never hit a woman, but a woman can hit a man. I don't agree with that. I don't think anyone should hit anybody. I don't think physical violence is ever okay in any circumstance, and I don't think there's ever a justification for it, period. The way he makes that argument, though, makes it appear as though he's trying to provide cover for instances in which a man beats his wife. That's how it's coming across.
So he put in plenty of caveats, so I understand what Anna's saying. And we made sure to put one of them in there for you about, hey, I love my wife and I don't beat her and etc. right? And he said you shouldn't, and if a man does it, they should be arrested. So fair is fair, right? Now, having said all that, the framing of that was atrocious.
Terrible.
So he's like, well, I mean, if she respects you, obviously you don't have to beat her. On the other hand, if she doesn't, I mean, you picked the wrong woman, and I guess you're gonna have to do what you. I mean, it was just horrific.
Yeah.
And so, is there an audience for that on the right wing? I mean, I say kind of half sarcastically, but but if you're in the right wing and you like that kind of talk,
not good.
Okay, I
Very
mean, you
bad.
can't really ask half the country, in this case, literally, because it's women. Hey, you know what? Like, if you don't respect us, obviously we're gonna beat the crap out of you. You okay with that? No one's okay with that.
Now look, if you're engaging in a tender embrace and then it kind of evolves into some aggressive wrestling, but it's intimate, that's okay.
That's a different thing,
That's
Casper.
okay.
That's a different thing. Okay.
But anyway, let's watch a bit more from Friday's episode of the Andrew Klavan Show.
A lot of the women who wind up in the hospital because they were beaten by their boyfriends or husbands threw the first punch. I don't have the exact figures, but it's a substantial number of women who got in a fight with their husbands and their boyfriends, and they threw a punch, the husband punched them back, and the woman is in the hospital. If you watch movies in which girls beat up men and win sword fights and things like that, you think, well, why would that be? But that's what happens. A woman punches a man, her hand breaks, and if he gets angry and he doesn't restrain himself, he's gonna punch her back. That's the law of the jungle. Now, if you're a person like me who loves women and wants to have a wonderful life with a wonderful woman and respect her and never raise a hard hand against, I never raise my voice to my wife because I'm so enamored of her, you have to find that woman. You have to find a woman who doesn't need to be smacked around in order to behave in a civilized way. And that's the way you do it. You avoid the women who don't respect you.
Okay, no one needs to be smacked around. I think no one needs to be smacked around. Okay, if your partner is attempting to hurt you, is being disrespectful, if you're in a toxic relationship or marriage, you have to walk away. All right, if someone is posing a threat to you physically, yeah, you do need to defend yourself. But the idea that someone needs to be beaten is ridiculous. It's like that wording is awful, atrocious. I can't believe that he said that, but.
I mean, look at them. So the thing I object to the most is the mindset, right? So he says, in a lot of cases, very substantial, the woman throws the first punch. You made that up. Do women throw the first punch from time to time? Of course, it's humanity, right? Do I know if the number is 2% or 20%? No, I have no idea, and neither does he. But his mindset is like, well, sometimes they got it coming, right?
It's the law of the jungle, Jake. The law of the jungle.
Exactly. And
have you ever watched the movies with the women with the sword fights? And I don't know why I brought that up, but it's the law of the jungle.
No, what he's saying is you're seeing in culture that women are as physically capable as men, but they aren't. And so if they try to smack us around, they're gonna have another thing coming to them. But that's not an epidemic in the country. It happens, but it's not an epidemic, okay? So, but even more important than that, when he said, find the woman who doesn't need to be smacked around, that thought would never occur to me in that way of saying it, right? In that sentence. Because I don't think any woman needs to be smacked around, and it wouldn't even pop into my mind, right? But in his mind, that is a category of women. Women who need to be smacked around.
Yeah.
That's why you should avoid those and find one that respects you. And by respect, if he was a normal person and not saying these things, I might say, oh yeah, okay, of course you should have mutual respect. But it seems to me, based on the rest of the context, by respect, he means you do what I tell you. And if you don't do what I tell you, then you're in the category of women who need to be smacked around.
Klavan also isn't really doing himself many favors when he applauds self-proclaimed misogynist Andrew Tate, who's been charged with rape, human trafficking, and sexually exploiting women for saying this type of stuff out loud. So take a look.
If a woman respects her husband, obviously her husband should treat her like the queen of the world. But if a woman hits her husband, he should never hit her back, but he will. She will learn what it's like to live with somebody who's bigger, meaner, tougher, stronger than she is. That's the law of the jungle. It's not right. It's not good. The guy should be arrested, but it will happen. That is the way things work. And that's why Andrew Tate has some kind of panache with young people, because he says this out loud and nobody ever says it out loud. That doesn't create a responsibility in you to beat your wife. It creates a responsibility in you to find a woman who will respect you so you can treat her as she deserves to be treated.
I said, not doing yourself any favors. Okay. How can you bring up Andrew Tate as someone worthy of admiration, as someone worthy of listening to for advice on relationships?
And even like more than that, saying like, oh, Andrew Tate says stuff like, I don't even know if Andrew Tate does say that, but he says Andrew Tate says smack your women around, but that's got panache. I don't think it has panache. And so number two, look, the Daily Wire is an interesting cat because it's like its economic policies are super establishment. Tax cuts for the rich, corporations are great, they're your friend, don't worry about it. And I would say and, not but. And they love starting culture wars.
Oh, that's like their number one thing.
Yeah.
100%.
And so they, let's have this nonsense conversation about what kind of woman deserves to be smacked around. Why are we having this conversation?
Why? That's a great point. Why? Like why? Why was this a segment? Like why did this come up?
And so,
is there a big national debate about beating wives right now?
Yeah, look, we're trying to be super fair, and a lot of folks are really mad at us for being fair and say, I don't think he represents all right-wingers. And I don't think he certainly doesn't represent all 77 million people who voted for Donald Trump. They didn't vote for Donald Trump to beat their wives, right? So does he represent some portion? Yeah, there's a portion that likes Andrew Tate, that likes this kind of stuff. And and there's radicals, no question, in the right wing as there are in the left wing. And the radical right wing is often more dangerous, in my opinion. Okay, so now at the same time, I want you guys, if you're in the right wing and you don't like that kind of talk, understand that culture wars go both ways. Identity politics goes both ways. And especially if you're looking to support the establishment, you don't want people talking about tax cuts for the rich. That polls 76% of Americans say, don't do tax cuts for the rich, increase taxes on the rich. So how do you distract them? You talk about how wife beating has a certain panache. And then we all get into that debate and angry, etc. So if you're on the right and you hate identity politics, you should also hate this and self-regulate. You see us self-regulating and taking a ton of heat for it, right? So is that going to happen on the right? And do people have the courage to do that on the right and go, that brother doesn't represent me at all? That's crazy, that's radical right, and I don't want any piece of it. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.